Hi, and welcome to the first class in the 7 Principles Adult Education series at First Universalist Church of Denver. I'm Dan Lilly, a member of First Universalist, currently living in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, a few years ago, when the worship committee decided to do a series of Sunday worship services about the 7 principles, we had no idea that eventually they would be turned into a book and then into this course that you're taking part in today. I'm so grateful for Tam and her team that have worked really hard to make the book and the course a reality. I'm also thrilled that there is such a deep desire to explore Unitarian Universalism among and within our congregation. Ours is a faith that is life-affirming and life-saving. The term Universalist originated from a belief in universal salvation, the idea that everyone is worthy of God's love. Now, in modern times, the terms Universalist and Universalism have evolved beyond the Christian ideology of heaven and hell, and even beyond the personified God of the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament. Now, universal means that whatever happens to one of us regarding the divine or the universe or an afterlife happens to all of us. And while the universal part of universal salvation has evolved, so has our understanding of salvation itself. Thanks to the humanist movement, we recognize our own agency as human beings. And so salvation is not waiting for us in some other life. It's for us to achieve here, in this world and on this life. Now, along with that human agency, basically what that tells us is that whether or not God exists is not nearly as important as what our belief in God or our rejection of a belief in God causes us to do. I mention all of this to show that our beliefs are tied to our actions, though they're often not directly linked. Generally, we take what we see and experience, and we use that to create our beliefs about what is real and true about the world. And then we use our beliefs to form an internalized sense of what is important to us or what we value. Our values are that internalized sense of what's important to us, and it's our values that determine our actions. Got that? So we've got beliefs form our values, and it's our values that cause us to act. So our values shape our individual attitudes, but we also build communities around our shared values, and our values have the ability to impact the world in both positive and negative ways, which is to say that values are neither inherently good or evil, but they are undeniably important and powerful. And our values are influencing our decisions, whether we're consciously aware of them or not. So it's important that we constantly do the deep, reflective, and spiritual work of understanding ourselves, our beliefs, and our values so that we know how they're showing up in the world through our actions. Now, it's also worth noting that when we act on our values, there can be both intended and unintended consequences of our actions. In my own process, I've come to reflect on my values by examining the what, the why, and the so what of my beliefs. Now, I find that people are generally able to articulate the what they believe on a particular issue. For example, someone might state, "Poor people are lazy." But they often have a harder time explaining why they hold that belief. Many times our beliefs are formed on a number of underlying assumptions that may or may not be true, and asking the why question, as in, "I wonder why you believe that people are poor because they are lazy. What have you experienced in your life that leads you to believe that?" So the why helps us to bring up some of those underlying assumptions that, once again, may or may not be true. and it gets us to question them and see where those assumptions are coming from. And I think we don't make it past the why very often to the next step, which is the so what of our beliefs. So what is the impact of me holding this belief having on how I treat other people? If poor people are lazy, does that make it okay for me to avoid eye contact or ignore them? And of course, it's easy to see how a belief, if left unexamined, could play out in the denial of rights or the dehumanization of people. So I invite you to take seriously the power of your beliefs, because they are key to forming our values, and our values in turn determine our actions. I invite you to go beyond the what to explore the why and the so what of your beliefs. For values based on unexamined beliefs have the potential to be dangerous and harmful, even if that's not our intention. And one final thought. Many Unitarian Universalists look to the 7 principles as foundational to our faith. Because our religion is built on covenant rather than on creed, many of us consider the principles as the unifying element of what we can agree on. But this does not mean that as values, the 7 principles are above consideration, reflection, and deep contemplation. Quite the opposite. Because they hold such a prominent position and are so widely revered, we must constantly be examining them through the lens of our evolving experiences and our evolving beliefs. And I think you know this, at least on some level, to be true, which is why you're taking this course. And so I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your curiosity and your willingness to learn and your desire to know more about our life-affirming faith tradition. It is my sincerest hope that as you explore your relationship with Unitarian Universalism, you find it to be a deeply rewarding and life-enriching experience. Blessings on your journey.